Captain Lisa Morgan sat quietly in her command chair, watching the stars drift past the main view screen of the UES Discovery. Her crew worked around her with the easy confidence that came from 3 years together in deep space. The bridge hummed, with the soft sounds of a ship at peace. Lisa was known throughout the Earth fleet for her gentle voice and calm manner. In 5 years of exploration duty, she had met 12 different alien species. Every single meeting had ended in friendship and trade agreements. The other captains called her the Peacemaker. They said she could talk a charging bull out of its anger. She was small for a starship captain, barely 5 feet tall, with brown hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. Her uniform was always perfectly neat, and she spoke so softly that her crew often had to lean forward to hear her orders. But when Lisa Morgan spoke, people listened. Commander Jake Collins stood at the tactical station, reviewing their course to the next star system. He was a big man with scars on his hands from his days as a Marine. It's like most of the Discovery crew, he had served in the Earth Defense Force before choosing exploration duty. He preferred the quiet life among the stars to the chaos of military. Bass Dr. Amanda Price worked at her science station, studying data from their last planet survey. She was a xenobiologist who had written 3 books about alien life forms. Her gentle manner with new species had helped Lisa negotiate several difficult first contacts. Amanda believed that understanding led to peace. Lieutenant Ben Carter monitored communications from his station. He was young and eager, with a talent for learning alien languages that amazed everyone. In just 3 years, he had become fluent in 15 different alien tongues. His job was to listen for any signals from space. Chief Engineer Kate Sullivan kept the ship running from her post in engineering. She was tough and smart, with grease under her fingernails and a quick smile for anyone who asked about her engines. Kate could make the Discovery do things that the design manual said were impossible. The bridge was quiet except for the gentle beeping of computers and the soft hum of life support systems. It was the kind of peaceful moment that Lisa loved most. About exploration duty. No battles, no politics. Just the endless wonder of discovering what lay beyond the next star. Ben's station suddenly came alive with urgent sounds. A red light flashed on his communication board. He pressed his earpiece closer and frowned at his readings. "Captain," Ben said, his voice tight with concern. "I'm picking up a distress signal." Lisa turned toward him with the calm attention she gave to everything. "Put it on speaker, Ben." The bridge filled with static, and then a voice speaking in the musical language of the Meridian Coalition. Ben's fingers flew over his controls as he worked to clean up the signal. "It's a Meridian science vessel," Ben reported. "The ship is called Seeker of Truth. They're under attack by unknown vessels. Their shields are failing." Lisa stood up slowly. The Meridians were a peaceful species of tall, blue-skinned beings who spent their time studying ancient ruins and star formations. They had no weapons and no military. They were scholars and artists who had never hurt anyone. "How far away are they?" Lisa asked. Jake checked his tactical display. 2 hours at maximum speed, Captain. Set course and engage," Lisa ordered in. Her quiet voice. "Ben, try to contact the attackers. Maybe we can talk them out of this." The Discovery changed direction smoothly as Kate pushed the engines to full power. On the view screen, the stars shifted as they turned toward the distress signal. Lisa sat back down and folded her hands in her lap, thinking. Ben worked at his station for several minutes before looking up. "I've got the attacking ships on communication." "Captain, they're Krillians." A chill went through the bridge. Everyone knew about the Krillians. They were a race of large reptilian beings who believed that strength was the only thing that mattered in the universe. They took what they wanted and destroyed anything that got in their way. No one had ever successfully negotiated with them. "Open a channel," Lisa said calmly. The view screen flickered and then showed the bridge of a Krillian warship. The Krillian war chief was massive, with dark green scales and yellow eyes that glowed with cruel intelligence. Scars covered his face and arms. Behind him, other Krillian warriors snarled and showed their fangs. "I am War Chief Zephyr of the Krillian Empire," the alien growled. "Will identify yourself and then leave this space immediately, or you will die." Lisa stood up and smoothed down her uniform. When she spoke, her voice was as gentle as always. "Hello, War Chief Zephyr. I am Captain Lisa Morgan of the Earth vessel Discovery. We received a distress call from a Meridian ship in this area. We'd like to help them." Zephyr threw back his head and laughed, showing rows of sharp teeth. The other Krillians joined in, making harsh sounds that filled the bridge. When the laughter died down, Zephyr leaned forward toward the camera. "Humans," he spat. "We have heard of your kind, weak creatures who talk instead of fight. You hide behind words because you have no strength. The Meridians are our prey now. Leave or become prey yourself." Lisa's expression didn't change. She kept her hands folded in front of her, and her voice remained soft. "I understand your position, War Chief, but the Meridians are peaceful beings. They pose no threat to your empire. Perhaps we could discuss this situation and find a solution that works for everyone." More laughter erupted from the Krillian bridge. Zephyr's eyes blazed with amusement and contempt. "Discussion? Solutions? You speak like a frightened child hoping to avoid punishment. There is only one law in this universe, human: the strong take from the weak. The Meridians are weak. We are strong. This is the way I see," Lisa said quietly. "Would you be willing to let the Meridians go if we provided something else of value to your empire?" Zephyr's scarred face twisted into a cruel smile. "The only thing of value you could provide," soft voice, "is the metal from your ship after we tear it apart. Your words mean nothing to warriors. Your gentle tone marks you as prey." Lisa nodded slowly, as if she understood perfectly. Her crew watched her with calm attention, waiting for her next words. They had seen their captain handle difficult situations before, always with patience and wisdom. "I want to be very clear about something, War Chief Zephyr," Lisa said, her voice still soft but carrying a strange new quality that made everyone on both bridges lean forward to listen. "I'm offering you one chance to withdraw your forces and leave the Meridian vessel unharmed. This is your opportunity to avoid an unfortunate situation." Zephyr's laughter was even louder this time. Threats from a creature who whispers, "Your species must be even weaker than we thought. Prepare to die," soft voice. The communication channel went dead. On the tactical display, Jake could see the Krillian ships turning toward them, their weapons charging for battle. Lisa stood perfectly still for a moment, her eyes fixed on the blank view screen. When she finally moved, it was to turn toward Jake. With an expression that none of her crew had ever seen before, her gentle features had hardened into something cold and calculating. "All crew to battle stations," she said quietly. "Commander Collins, release all safety protocols and bring our primary systems online." "Aye, Captain," Jake replied, his fingers already moving over his controls as alarm signals began to sound throughout the ship. Lisa Morgan sat back down in her command chair. The woman who had spent 5 years talking her way out of every conflict was gone. In her place sat someone who looked very much like a predator that had just been given permission to hunt. The Discovery shook as the first Krillian weapons struck their shields. Red lights flashed across the bridge as damage reports flooded in from all sections. The gentle hum of the exploration vessel was replaced by the harsh sounds of a ship at war. Lisa remained perfectly calm in her command chair, watching the tactical display as 3 Krillian raiders closed in on their position. Each enemy ship was twice the size of the Discovery, bristling with weapons designed to tear apart anything in their path. "Shields down to 80%, Jake reported from his station. "They're using plasma cannons and torpedo launchers." "Kate, how are our engines?" Lisa asked in her quiet voice. "Running hot but steady, Captain," came Kate's voice over the communication system from engineering. "Yeah, I can give you more power if you need it." Lisa nodded and turned to Amanda at the science station. "Dr. Price, please activate medical protocol 7. Amanda's fingers hesitated over her controls for just a moment. Medical Protocol 7 was something she had hoped never to use. It would flood the ship's air system with combat stimulants, chemicals that would sharpen reflexes and reduce fear. It was a leftover from their military days when the Discovery had been more than just an exploration vessel. "Protocol 7 active," Amanda confirmed. "All crew will be at peak performance in 90 seconds. Ben worked frantically at his communication station, his young face tight with concentration. Captain, I'm picking up Krillian battle chatter. They're coordinating their attack patterns. Can you break into their communications? Lisa asked. Ben looked surprised. Breaking into enemy communications was an act of war, something exploration vessels were never supposed to do. But as he looked at his captain's face, he saw something there that made him nod quickly. Yes, Captain. Give me 2 minutes. The Discovery shook again as more weapons fire hammered their shields. Through the view screen they could see one of the Krillian ships moving to attack the damaged Meridian vessel. The peaceful scientists had no weapons and no way to defend themselves. Lisa stood up slowly and walked to the center of the bridge. When she spoke, her voice was still soft, but now it carried an edge that cut through the noise of battle like. A blade, Jake. Bring our primary weapons online. Full tactical spread. Jake's hands moved over his controls with practiced ease. Around the ship, panels slid back to reveal weapon ports that had been hidden beneath the Discovery's peaceful exterior. Pulse cannons extended from the hull. Torpedo launchers armed themselves with projectiles that could crack a moon in half. Weapons ready, Captain, Jake reported. All systems show green. Kate's voice came over the communication system again. But now, it carried a note of excitement. Captain, I'm bringing the engines to military specifications. Safety limits are off. We can move like we used to. Lisa nodded and looked at the tactical display. The 3 Krillian ships were arranged in a standard attack formation, expecting their enemy to either run or die quickly. They were really facing. Ben, are you in their communications yet? Just broke through their encryption, Captain, Ben said with a grin that made him look much older than his years. I can hear everything they're saying to each other. Good. Start feeding them false information. Make them think we're damaged and trying to escape. Ben's fingers flew over his controls as he began inserting fake damage reports into the Krillian communication network. To their enemies, it would look like the Discovery was crippled and helpless. The first Krillian ship moved closer, confident that victory was within reach. War Chief Zefter's voice crackled over the communication system. Surrender now, soft voice, and we will make your death quick. Lisa walked to the communication station and opened a channel. When she spoke, her voice was as gentle as it had been during their first conversation. War Chief Zefter, I'm going to give you one more chance to withdraw. You don't understand what you're attacking. Zefter's laughter filled the bridge. I understand perfectly, human. I see a small ship with weak shields and pathetic weapons. You will die screaming. Lisa closed the communication channel and turned to her crew. The combat stimulants had taken effect, and she could see the sharp focus in their eyes. These were not just explorers anymore. They were what they had always been underneath, soldiers of the Earth Defense Force who had chosen a quieter life. Among the stars, Jake, target the lead ship's weapon systems. Amanda, prepare boarding countermeasures. Ben, keep feeding them false data. Kate, I need every bit of speed you can give me. Aye, Captain, came the responses from around the bridge. Lisa sat back down in her command chair and studied the tactical display. The Krillians were powerful, but they fought like they always had, using brute force and intimidation. They had no idea that humans had developed new ways of warfare during their expansion into space. Jake, fire. The Discovery's weapons lanced out with deadly precision. Instead of trying to destroy the Krillian ship, they targeted specific systems. Weapon ports exploded. Shield generators overloaded. The engine section took critical damage that left the massive raider. Drifting helplessly in space, the Krillians had never seen anything like it. Their ships were designed to smash enemies to pieces, not perform surgical strikes that left targets alive, but helpless. Second ship is moving to attack, Jake reported. Kate, evasive pattern Delta, Lisa ordered. The Discovery suddenly moved. Like a fighter instead of a research vessel. It twisted and spun through space with impossible grace, avoiding the heavy weapons of the larger Krillian ship. The enemy's plasma cannons fired where the Discovery had been, not where it was going. Ben looked up from his station with excitement. Captain, they're panicking. Their communications are full of confused reports. They don't understand how we're moving so fast. Lisa allowed herself a small smile. The Krillians were learning what many enemies had discovered too late. Humans were at their most dangerous when someone threatened the innocent. Jake, target their engines. Make them dead in space. More precise weapons. Fire reached out from the Discovery. The second Krillian ship found itself unable to maneuver as its engine systems failed one by one. It was still alive, still dangerous, but it could no longer chase its prey. The third Krillian ship began to pull back, its captain finally. Understanding that this was not going according to plan, Lisa opened the communication channel again. Her voice remained soft and calm, but now the Krillians could hear something else underneath it. Something that made their blood run cold. War Chief Zefter, your ships are disabled, but your crews are alive. I suggest you collect them and leave this system immediately. The Meridian vessel is under our protection now. Zefter's voice came back over the communication system, but now it was filled with confusion and the first hints of fear. What are you? Humans are supposed to be weak, Lisa. Looked directly into the communication camera. Her gentle brown eyes held depths that the Krillian had never seen before. We are exactly what we've always been, War Chief. We prefer to talk because we're good at it. But when talking fails, we're very good at other things too. The communication channel went dead. On the tactical display, they watched as the third Krillian ship moved to collect the crews of the disabled vessels. Within an hour, all three ships had limped away into hyperspace. Carrying news that would spread throughout Krillian space like wildfire, Amanda worked to tend the wounded Meridians, while Lisa stood at the view screen, watching the enemy retreat. Jake came to stand beside her. Think they learned their lesson, Captain? Lisa shook her head slowly. No, Jake. They learned that we're dangerous, but they didn't learn why. It's going to be a problem. She was right. In the depths of space, War Chief Zefter was already calling for reinforcements. 3 days after the battle, stories about the Discovery had spread across half the galaxy. The Krillian survivors told wild tales of a human ship that spoke softly before bringing death. Other species whispered about the gentle voice of doom that offered mercy once before, destroying everything in its path. War Chief Zefter stood before the Krillian High Command on their home world, his scarred face twisted with anger and shame. The council chamber was filled with the Empire's greatest warriors, all of them listening to his report with growing disbelief. You claim that one small human ship defeated 3 of our raiders? Growled High Commander Vrekton, the supreme leader. Of all Krillian forces, this is impossible. I speak the truth, High Commander, Zefter replied through clenched teeth. They are not what our intelligence reports claimed. The humans fight with cunning we have never seen before. Elder Counselor Morgeith leaned forward in his stone chair. Our spies told us that humans were weak creatures who preferred talking to fighting. You were saying our spies were wrong? Zefter's claws scraped against the metal floor. The human captain offered us surrender. Her voice was soft like a child's whisper, but when we refused, she destroyed us without mercy. She is a demon hiding behind gentle words. High Commander Vrekton slammed his massive fist on the council table. No single ship makes the Krillian Empire look weak. We will send a full battle fleet to hunt down this demon and destroy it. The other species must learn that challenging us brings only death. Meanwhile, billions of miles away, the Discovery drifted quietly through an asteroid field near the edge of Krillian space. Lisa sat in her ready room, reading reports from Earth's command on her personal screen. Admiral Victor Kane's message was brief and direct. Captain Morgan, we've received your report about the Krillian incident. Earth Command is prepared to send a fleet to support you if needed. However, given your success rate with diplomatic solutions, we're leaving this situation in your hands. Use your best judgment. Lisa smiled slightly as she closed the message. Admiral Kane had been her mentor during her military days. He understood that sometimes the best way to prevent a war was to win it quickly and decisively. Hey, soft chime announced someone at her door. Come in, she called. Jake entered, carrying a data pad and wearing an expression of concern. Captain, we're picking up increased Krillian military traffic throughout this sector. It looks like they're mobilizing a major response force. Lisa nodded calmly. How many ships? At least 20 warships? Maybe more. They're being very careful with their communications, but Ben has been tracking their movement patterns. Lisa stood up and walked to the small window in her ready room. Outside, asteroids tumbled slowly through the darkness of space. Each one was a potential weapon if used correctly. Jake, what would you do if someone threatened your family? The question surprised him. I'd protect them, Captain, whatever it took. Even if protecting them meant doing terrible things. Jake thought for a moment. Yes, ma'am. Family comes first. Lisa turned back to face him. The Meridians are our friends. Jake, the Krillians have been attacking peaceful species for years, taking slaves and destroying anyone who can't fight back. What do you think we should do? Jake's scarred face hardened with understanding. Protect our friends, Captain. Whatever it takes. Lisa picked up her uniform jacket from the back of her chair. Good. Tell the crew we're going hunting. Over the next 2 weeks, the Discovery became a ghost ship that haunted Krillian space. Struck supply convoys carrying weapons to the frontier. They disabled communication relays that coordinated military movements. They appeared out of nowhere, offered surrender in Lisa's gentle voice, and then vanished back into the darkness after leaving destruction in their wake. Ben had become an expert at intercepting Krillian communications. He listened to their growing fear as reports flooded in about the human ship that could not be caught or killed. The warriors who had once laughed at human weakness now spoke in whispers about the soft voice that meant death was coming. Amanda worked with captured Krillian data to understand their psychology. She learned that their entire culture was built on the idea that strength came from intimidation and brute force. The concept of an enemy that was polite before destroying them was breaking their minds. Kate pushed the Discovery's engines far, beyond their design limits, making the ship capable of impossible maneuvers. She had discovered that human engineering could do things that alien technology could not match when the safety restrictions were removed. The Krillian battle fleet arrived. In the system where they had first encountered the Discovery, expecting to find the human ship waiting for them. Instead, they found empty space and a single communication buoy floating among the asteroids. High Commander Vrakton himself had come to lead the hunt. His massive dreadnought, Fist of Empire, was the most powerful warship in Krillian space. Around it, 19 other vessels formed a battle formation that could destroy entire planets. Activate the communication buoy, Vrakton ordered. The view screen flickered to life, showing Captain Lisa Morgan sitting calmly in her command chair. She wore her standard uniform, and her hands were folded in her lap. When she spoke, her voice was as soft and gentle as always. High Commander Vrakton, I assume you've come looking for me. I want you to know that I respect your courage in coming here personally. However, I need to inform you that your empire has been attacking peaceful species under our protection. This cannot continue. Vrakton's roar of anger echoed through his bridge. Human demon, show yourself and face honorable combat. Elisa's expression didn't change. I'm prepared to discuss terms for ending this conflict peacefully. Your forces can withdraw from all disputed territories and release any slaves you've taken from peaceful species. In return, we'll consider this matter closed. We do not negotiate with prey, Vrakton shouted. We will hunt you through every star system until you are destroyed. Lisa nodded as if she had expected this answer. I understand your position, High Commander. In that case, I want you to remember something very important. You chose this. The communication ended, leaving the Krillian fleet surrounded by silent asteroids and empty space. Vrakton turned to his tactical officer. Begin scanning every asteroid, every piece of debris. The human ship must be hiding somewhere in this field. For 6 hours, the Krillian fleet searched while their sensors found nothing. Vrakton was beginning to think the human ship had fled. When his communication officer looked up with confusion, High Commander, I'm receiving a message on an open channel. It's very faint. Put it on speaker. Lisa's gentle voice filled the bridge of every Krillian ship in the fleet. High Commander, I want you to look at your tactical display very carefully. Do you see the pattern? Vrakton looked at his screen, which showed the positions of all 20 Krillian ships. They were arranged in a perfect circle, each vessel exactly the same distance from the center point. It was the formation they had naturally fallen into while searching the asteroid field. What is the meaning of this? Vrakton demanded. Lisa's. The voice came again, still soft and calm. You're all exactly 12,000 kilometers from the asteroid at the center of your formation. That asteroid contains a nuclear device with a yield of 50 megatons. It's been armed since you arrived. The Krillian bridge erupted in chaos as officers shouted orders and tried to plot escape courses. But they were massive ships with slow engines, and 12,000 kilometers was very close for a nuclear explosion in space. However, Lisa continued, I'm not going to detonate it. Instead, I want you to think about something. If I can put a bomb in the middle of your fleet without you noticing, what else can I do? How many of your supply bases have I already visited? How many of your communication networks have I already accessed? Vraktin felt something he had never experienced before in his long career as a warrior. Fear, pure, cold, fear of an enemy he could not see or understand. Lisa's voice came one final time. Go home, High Commander. Protect your own people instead of attacking others, because if you don't, I'll show you what humans are really capable of when we stop being polite. The nuclear device never exploded. High Commander Vraktin ordered his fleet to retreat to a safe distance, but his mind burned with humiliation. In 300 years of conquest, no enemy had ever made the Krillian Empire look weak. Now, a single human ship had turned his greatest warriors into frightened children. For 2 days, Vraktin sat alone in his command chamber, staring at star charts and trying to understand what had gone wrong. The humans were supposed to be soft creatures who hid behind words. Instead, they had proven to be more dangerous than any enemy the Krillians had ever faced. On the 3rd day, a message arrived on a secure communication channel. It was from Captain Lisa Morgan. Hi, Commander Vraktin. I believe we need to talk. I'm prepared to meet with you in person to discuss ending this conflict. If you're interested, come to the neutral zone near the galactic core. Come alone, and I'll do the same. Vraktin's first instinct was to reject the offer. Meeting an enemy face-to-face was a sign of weakness. But something in the human's voice made him reconsider. There was no mockery, no threat. Just the same gentle tone that had haunted his dreams since this nightmare began. Word of the proposed meeting spread quickly through the galaxy. The Meridian Coalition offered to provide a neutral meeting place on one of their science stations. Other species sent observers, curious to see how this strange conflict would end. Elder Thane of the Meridian Coalition contacted both sides to confirm the arrangements. Captain Morgan, High Commander Vraktin, our station will be honored too. Host these discussions. We hope wisdom will prevail over warfare. Lisa accepted immediately. Vraktin took longer to respond, but eventually agreed to the meeting. However, he added one condition that surprised everyone. The human claims to be a warrior, despite her soft voice, Vraktin announced. I challenge her to single combat between our ships. If she defeats me, the Krillian Empire will withdraw from all disputed territories. If I defeat her, humans will never again interfere with Krillian expansion. The challenge was broadcast across dozens of star systems. Alien species that had never heard of humans suddenly became very interested in this small ship that had brought the mighty Krillian Empire to its knees. Lisa accepted the challenge without hesitation. Single combat it is, High Commander. The best captain win. The meeting point was established in empty space near the galactic core. The Meridian Science Station Haven of Knowledge would serve as the neutral ground for observers. Ships from 12 different species gathered to witness what many believed would be the most important battle in recent galactic history. The Discovery arrived first, looking small and peaceful among the massive observer vessels. Lisa had spent the journey preparing her crew for what might be their final battle. She gathered them in the main conference room for one last briefing. I want all of you to know that serving with you has been the greatest honor of my career, she told them. If something happens to me today, make sure the galaxy remembers that humans fight for others, not for conquest. Jake stood up from his chair. Captain, we followed you for 3 years. We're not about to stop now. Whatever happens out there, we're with you. The rest of the crew nodded in agreement. Amanda had prepared medical supplies for battle damage. Ben had fine-tuned their communication systems for maximum efficiency. Kate had the engines running at peak performance. An hour later, Vraktin's dreadnought Fist of Empire emerged from hyperspace. The massive warship dwarfed everything else. In the area, its dark hull bristling with enough weapons to destroy a small moon. Compared to the Discovery, it looked like a giant preparing to step on an insect. Elder Thane opened a communication channel to both ships. Captains, the rules are simple. It's a single combat between your vessels only. There's no assistance from observer. Ships will be allowed. The battle ends when one ship surrenders or is destroyed. Are you both ready? The Krillian Empire is ready, Vrakton growled. Lisa's gentle voice came across the communication system. The Discovery is ready. The two ships moved away from the observer fleet until they were alone in the darkness of space. For a moment, everything was silent except for the soft hum of engines and life support systems. Then Vrakton opened a direct channel to the Discovery. His massive form filled their view screen, scales gleaming under the bridge lights. Human. Captain, you have caused great shame to my people. Today I will restore our honor by crushing you. Lisa stood in front of her command chair, looking impossibly small compared to the alien warrior. When she spoke, her voice carried the same gentle tone that had started this entire conflict. Hi, Commander. I want you to understand something before we begin. I didn't start this fight, but I will finish it. You had your chance to choose peace. Vrakton's laughter boomed across the communication channel. Peace is for the weak, human. Prepare to die. The Fist of Empire opened fire with everything. It had plasma cannons, torpedo launchers, and particle beams, all targeted the tiny Discovery. The space around the human ship lit up like a miniature star as massive amounts of energy tried to find their target, but the Discovery wasn't there. Anymore? Kate had pushed the engines to impossible levels, making the ship move like a fighter craft instead of a research vessel. The Discovery twisted and spun through space, avoiding the Dreadnought's weapons by margins so small that observers gasped in amazement. Lisa's voice cut through the noise of battle, still calm and gentle. Jake, target their main weapon systems. Ben, start jamming their targeting sensors. Manda, monitor our structural integrity. The Discovery's smaller weapons reached out with surgical precision. Instead of trying to punch through the Dreadnought's massive armor, they targeted specific systems. Weapon ports exploded. Sensor arrays went dark. Engine components overloaded and shut down. Vrakton roared in frustration as his mighty ship began to fail around him? Impossible. No ship that small should be able to damage us. Lisa opened the communication channel again. Hi, Commander. You're thinking about this wrong. You built your ship to be strong. We built ours to be smart. Discovery continued its impossible dance around the Dreadnought, striking at weak points in critical systems. The massive Krillian ship found itself unable to land a hit on its smaller, faster opponent. On the observer ships, alien captains watched in stunned silence. They had expected to see a quick battle followed by the Discovery's destruction. Instead, they were witnessing something that would change their understanding of warfare forever. After 20 minutes of one-sided combat, the Fist of Empire drifted helplessly in space. Its weapons were destroyed, its engines were offline, and its life support was failing. Vrakton sat in his command chair, staring at displays that showed nothing but system failures. Lisa's voice came over the communication system one final time. As gentle as always, High Commander, your ship is disabled, but your crew is alive. I could destroy you now, but I won't. Do you know why? Vrakton's voice was barely a whisper. No human. You'd tell me why you show mercy to an enemy. 'Cause that's what strength really means, Lisa replied. Anyone can destroy. It takes real power to choose not to. The Krillian Empire has mistaken cruelty for strength for too long. True strength protects the innocent and shows mercy to the defeated. Elder Thane's voice cut into the communication from the observer station. The combat is concluded. Captain, Morgan is victorious. High Commander Vrakton, do you acknowledge the terms of surrender? Vrakton closed his eyes and felt something change deep inside him. For the first time in his life, he understood the difference between being feared and being respected. I acknowledge defeat, he said quietly. The Krillian Empire will honor the terms. We will withdraw from disputed territories and release all slaves taken from peaceful species. Lisa nodded with satisfaction. Thank you, High Commander. I hope this is the beginning of a better relationship between our peoples. As rescue ships moved to help the damaged dreadnought, observers from across the galaxy broadcast the story of the battle. They told of a human captain who spoke softly but fought like a monster when protecting others. They spoke of a species that preferred peace but excelled at war when forced to defend the innocent. The Discovery began its journey home, but the galaxy would never forget the lesson it had learned. Humans were not weak because they chose diplomacy. They chose diplomacy because they were strong enough to show mercy in the depths of space. Captain Lisa Morgan sat quietly in her command chair, watching the stars drift past. Her crew worked around her with the easy confidence of people who had done their duty and done it well. Somewhere in the distance, a new distress signal was beginning to broadcast. Lisa smiled slightly and prepared to answer it with her characteristic gentle voice. The galaxy was learning that when humans spoke softly, it was because they were confident they could handle whatever came next, and they were always right.